What you're hearing is Hardie Fiber Cement Siding living up to its reputation as the siding that helps resist weather damage, no matter what Mother Nature throws its way. James Hardie knows how important a reputation is, especially when you're a home builder. That's why Hardie products withstand the elements better than wood-based siding, with styles to match their strength. Because when home builders work with us, we deliver our best so they can look their best. Protect your reputation with exterior products by James Hardie.
Unlock your dream property with Meeks Realty Group, where Rich the Realtor makes real estate dreams a reality. Whether it's residential or commercial, we've got Charleston to Huntington covered. Your key to exceptional real estate experiences start here. Meeks Realty Group. Contact us at meeks.us.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 580 WCHS, its employees, or WVRC Media. From the studios of WVRC Media, the country, the United States of America, the state, West Virginia, the city, Charleston. This is the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live. And your host.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
He's kind of a big deal.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Dave Allen.
Hey, folks, good Tuesday morning to you. Welcome to the show. Ryan Nicholson, the senior producer, is in charge of things this morning. Biggly, Piggly, Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony Taylor text 304-935-5008. Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you by Thornhill Auto Group. Your next ride and your next service can be found on US 119 from Chapmanville to Logan to Belfry, Kentucky. Start your drive online at thornhillautomotive.com. We come to you from the Par-Mar Store studio. If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon. Phone calls to the show, a service of Biggly, Piggly, Wiggly, Spring Street, Charleston. Texting services provided by West Virginia's finest men's store, Tony the Taylor, Virginia Street in Charleston. Visit BassMasterTaylor.com. It's a little cold outside this morning. Checking temperatures. We're at 7 now in Charleston. It's 8 in Huntington, 2 in Morgantown, 5 in Beckley, 9 in Martinsburg, 2 in Wheeling, 0 now in Elkins, 6 in Parkersburg, 5. I think I need to go on any further. I think you got the picture. You got a couple of more days. As a matter of fact, they say overnight tonight we could break records for the low temperature, well below 0. That's not wind chill. That's the actual temperature. When we go on the air probably here tomorrow morning. So we'll kind of get our mind off the weather. Coming up a little bit later on the show, Delegate J.B. Akers is here. He was recently named as the House Judiciary Chair. He'll join us. Plus, there's a lot to talk about ambulance rates going up in Kanawha County. We're going to talk to Tom Sussman, who sort of serves as a spokesperson for the Kanawha County Emergency Ambulance Service Authority. He'll be in the studio as well. And we're only 2 days away from the second annual WVRC Media Charleston Sock Drop for Union Mission, presented by Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. We'll spend a little time talking about that. Of course, the big news is the Trump inauguration yesterday. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you now. I am going to talk about it a little bit later on, but if you want to load me up with text on the way there, you certainly can. The text line, courtesy of Tony the Taylor, 304-935-5008. Thoughts on the Trump inauguration, the executive orders, all that was yesterday. 304-935-5008. That is the text line. I'll read as many of those as I can coming up a little bit later on the show. This weekend, the West Virginia Trophy Hunters Association will present the annual Hunting and Fishing Show at the Coliseum Convention Center. Good friend Glenn Jarrell is here to talk about it. Glenn, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Do you loathe it as much as I do when people say, is it cold enough for you or is it hot enough for you? I mean, it is what it is, right?
It is what it is. And I'll tell you what, it is going to warm up a little bit this weekend. And the show is coming to the Civic Center, and we're ready for it.
All right. Now, how many years has this been going on?
This is the 37th year.
37th year.
Yes.
All right. And you've been there for all of them?
Yes.
You've been there for all of them.
Yes.
So it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Coliseum and Convention Center. It's going to be a great time. It always is. What are some of the maybe new things we have this year and some returning favorites?
We have several new things, several new outfitters that are coming. There'll be outfitters from the western states, from Canada. If you want to book a bear hunt, an elk hunt, they'll be there this year. We have a lot of new things this year for the children also. We'll have a rock climbing event there where the National Guard will be sponsoring it. Excuse me. I'm still cold from outside. There's a lot excuse me, a lot of new things coming. So, It's there. It's ready. All the booths are sold. Everyone's ready. Come on down.
Well, and I was looking at your schedule of events that you have here. I mean, you're going to start things with the ribbon cutting at noon. You've got all of these different things going on throughout the weekend. Chris Lawrence, as he always does, Chris is going to be a big part of it. He'll be doing his a live 3-hour show from there on Saturday morning, 9 a.m.
Absolutely. Chris does a great job. He does. We liked having Chris there.
And a lot of good information out there too. And I know there's a lot of folks that say, well, I'd like to come to the show, but I don't necessarily, have the money to spend. Look, you can come. We want you to visit the outfitters. Obviously, we want you to purchase stuff. But if you just want to walk around and as we used to say growing up in the church, fellowship one with the other, and just talk to other outdoors people, whether they're professionals, whether they're amateurs, people just like you, they're all going to be there.
Absolutely. They're there. And like I say, there's something for everyone. If you want to come down, just look at the latest equipment and so forth. It'll be there. If you want to look at fishing equipment, we have a great display of boats out in our lobby. If you want to talk to someone, like I say, about the hunting or fishing, the Trout Unlimited guys will be there to talk to you about what's going on with the trout here in the state. The Department of Natural Resources will be there if you want to discuss anything with the law enforcement guys. Or the wildlife guys will be there if you want to talk about any surveys they have going on or any projects they have going on. And they'll also be there to score the whitetail mounts that you have. If you scored or if you've harvested a great whitetail here in the state, bring it down. They'll score it for you. And then if it qualifies, we'll hang it up in the Whitetail Hall of Fame, which is a beautiful display.
That's one of the great things I like about this event, Glenn. And again, we're talking about this weekend's West Virginia Hunting and Fishing Show at the Coliseum Convention Center Friday through Sunday. One of the things I like about this is the amount of education that's available. And for outdoors people and guys and gals come in, they take it in many times with notebooks in hand. They sit there and it's just like they're going to class, man.
Absolutely. It's a world of information there. Anything you want to know about conservation that's going on in the state, the West Virginia Trophy Hunters are a big support of conservation programs that's going on. So if you want to talk about those, see what's going on, come on down. There'll be someone there to help you with anything you want to talk about.
The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Live Healthy West Virginia, presented by WVU Medicine. Live Healthy, tackling pressing health issues of all types. It's a great podcast offering insights into medical breakthroughs, preventative care, featuring WVU Medicine's expert physicians aimed at fostering healthier lifestyles and beyond the state. Great resource for all. Check out the latest episodes, WVMetronews.com, under the podcast menu, and start your journey towards better health today. And I'm looking ahead, Glenn, at the weather. And of course, a lot can change between now and then. But Friday looks like partly cloudy, 28. Saturday, sunny, 37. Sunday, 39. So it doesn't look like there's going to be any weather issues to keep people away, because when you have this in January, it happens. And I would think, and I'm not the biggest outdoor person in the world, but I will say this, that with the January that we've had with these cold temperatures and the snow and the ice, it's enough to make me want to go head out to the lake. I mean, it really is.
Yes. And if you just want to get out, if you've got cabin fever, come on down to the show, okay?
Yeah. Let's talk about admission prices and things of that nature.
Oh, it's a great deal. Adults is $12. Anyone under 12 is in free. So it's pretty simple, okay?
Pretty simple.
12 for adults, and under 12 is in free.
And I know people that go all 3 days.
Absolutely.
I mean, I literally know people that will go Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and because really, in my experience, and I've been there the last couple of years, my experience is it's hard to take it in all at one time. And the more crowded it is, it makes it even harder, because you got to get through the crowds and everything. And that's a good thing. We want people to come out and talk and as I said, fellowship and so on and so forth. But if you might want to consider coming back a second day.
Absolutely. If you come down Friday afternoon, that's a great time. But then if you want to come back Saturday, we'll have an auction on Saturday afternoon, which is a big deal. You can get some great deals there.
I want to talk about that auction. Give us all of the details on that.
Okay, really what happens there is our outfitters will present trips. If it may be just a fishing trip on the Great Lakes, or if you want to go hunting, it'd be a hunting trip. Or there's some beautiful guns will be auctioned off, and beautiful clothing, beautiful artwork, beautiful knives. It's all there. And there's some great deals. That's Saturday afternoon at 5 o'clock in the main arena.
And as I said earlier, we'll be there. Chris Lawrence is going to be there. This is one of those events that we do that pretty much all of us will be there at one time or another. I haven't gotten the schedule yet. It's when I'm going to be there, but I'll be there this weekend. All of our stations, KWS, KAZ, we're all going to be hanging out there and talking to the fine folks there at the Coliseum and Convention Center this weekend. And a whole lot of work, Glenn, a whole lot of work goes into this.
Absolutely. The trophy hunters work all year on it, getting it ready, and we really try to present a great quality show. So come on down. There's something for everyone there.
And Friday is actually going to be a really big day at the Coliseum Convention Center because there's a concert that night. Parker McCallum is in concert, and also the Reds Caravan is going to be there Friday evening as well. So there's more than one reason to go to the Coliseum Convention Center. It's all going to be going on that Friday night.
Absolutely. Come on down to the show.
All right. So, again, give us the hours. Give us the rundown again.
Okay, the hours. We're going to start at noon on Friday, go till 9 at night. On Saturday, it's 9 to 9, and Sunday, 10 to 5. And, again, the price is just $12 for adults. Anyone under 12 gets in free.
All right. It's going to be a great time. It always is, Glenn. I appreciate you being here, and we'll see you there this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday over at the Coliseum Convention Center. Actually, you're doing the ribbon cutting at noon on Friday. I'm going to have you back in studio on Friday's show as well to talk about it. Glenn, I appreciate you being here, man. Thanks a lot. It is 9:18. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you in part by Bridge Valley. Interested in improving your company's IT workforce? Know that they offer custom-tailored IT training to bridge the skills gap. Train for little or no cost, 50-50 salary match. They can also supply skilled graduates and apprenticeships for your company. Visit bridgevalley.edu/apprenticeships today. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony the Taylor text 304-935-5008. We do have a new House Judiciary chair. It's J.B. Akers. He's going to join us a little bit later on the show. And next we're going to talk about ambulance rates in Kanawha County. Back after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses live to make life better for you and your family.
Americans for Prosperity, West Virginia's Pathway to Prosperity, is a bold roadmap to help principled policymakers rapidly transform the Mountain State into a better place to live, work, and raise a family. To do that, we encourage state leaders to boldly adopt proven reforms that makes quality health care more affordable and accessible. Empower parents and expand education freedom to every child. Rein in government spending and cut taxes, allowing Mountaineers to keep more of their hard-earned paychecks. While the recent work of the legislature has taken enormous strides toward breaking down the barriers that hold our citizens back, now is not the time to rest on our laurels. Instead, we must come together to double down on advancing freedom and opportunity to create more prosperity for every West Virginian. This is how we reignite the American dream. To learn more, visit wvpathway.com. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
When you need a fighter, you need us. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm for the people.
Office 222 Capitol Street, Charleston. Cases will be handled by West Virginia licensed attorneys. The attorney in this ad is not licensed in West Virginia. ForThePeople.com.
Thank you to our Hurricane High School broadcast boosters, Parmar Stores, Peyton Law Firm, Putnam County Bank, Vital Flow, Rivers Health, Putnam County CVB, and Generations Physical Therapy.
It is 9:20. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony the Taylor text 304-935-5008. Vaccines are your best protection against severe disease from flu and COVID-19. If you're 65 or older, risk less, do more with this season's vaccines. Get started at vaccines.gov, paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. The new House Judiciary Chair, J.B. Akers, coming up a little bit later on the show. Also momentarily, we're going to talk about ambulance service rates here in Kanawha County. Tom Sussman, who is a spokesperson for the ambulance service, will join us here momentarily. I do want to throw out a couple texts because with everything happening in the news yesterday, you know, there was an inauguration yesterday. You may or may not be familiar with that, but I just thought I would give folks an opportunity. I'm going to weigh in on it a little bit later on after our guests are here, but I did want to throw out the text line courtesy of Tony the Taylor, 304-935-5008 if you want to text me with your thoughts on the inauguration. And guess what? I've got some. So here we go. Hey, Dave says a text, how about Elon Musk throwing up the Nazi salute twice at Trump's rally? You know how it will go. If you saw it, That's what wasn't what it was. If he did it, it was an accident, but he didn't do it because it was AI generated by the libs. Then Elon will use his wealth to bury the video of him giving the Heil Hitler twice on national television. I saw that. I saw a lot being written about it, but again, and I agree with the texter. It all depends on your perspective of whether you thought that was a Hitler thing or it wasn't. Because if you're a supporter, you're going to say it wasn't. I actually heard the audio, and he was actually talking about love and things of that nature. I probably would have been a little bit more careful with my arms if it were me. Just saying. Tex says, Dave, thank God President Trump is back in charge, putting America first, and common sense is long overdue. Sit back and enjoy the ride, says a texter. Tex says, Dave, I loved that Trump chose Elvis's American Trilogy as his and Melania's first dance as at the Commander-in-Chief inauguration ball. The Aloha from Hawaii is so passionately performed that still brings tears to my eyes, says a texter. Coming up on tomorrow's show, a new circuit judge here in Kanawha County, longtime friend of the show, Rich Lindsay, officially sworn in this past Friday. He's going to join us on the show tomorrow. Plus, we're gearing up for the second annual WVRC Media Charleston Sock Drop, brought to you by the good folks at Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, benefiting Union Mission. The guy behind it all, Rob Reel, from our sister station 96.1 KWS, host of Up Real Early. He will join us to talk about it on the show tomorrow. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you in part by Huston's Pizza. This month at your favorite Huston's, get a large 18-inch pepperoni pizza and any pizza bowl, only $22.99. Find your nearest Huston's for delivery, pickup, or dine in at HustonsPizza.com. We're going to bring in Tom Sussman to the show now. Tom, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Dave. I'm sitting here just like having studio envy on your new studio. Yeah. As a side note, I'm kind of involved in radio in Ravenswood, and our studios up there are not anywhere as nice as this studio.
Well, this is our temporary holding place, because eventually we're remodeling all of the studios here. So this is where, like, I'm in here, Hotline is in here, TJ's portion of Talkline is in here. But eventually we're going to move back into the old studio. And so the next time, Mr. Sussman, you appear on the show, you may be on TV. There'll be cameras.
Well, nobody will want to watch.
No. Well, I mean, me too, me and that. But I do appreciate the nice words. Before we get into talking about the ambulance service rates here in Kanawha County, and there's been a lot of talk, and I know you as a spokesperson have fielded a lot of questions about it. I did want to mention something about warming centers that you wanted to bring up. So I'll give you an opportunity to do that because it's cold outside.
It's cold today, and it's going to even be colder tomorrow or tomorrow evening. And I saw somewhere on Weather Channel it could be as low as 4 below. So I kind of want to go through. We got these from C.W. Sigmund, who is the Kanawha County Emergency Manager Coordinator. So I'm going to go through a couple warming centers that are open. Dunbar is operating a center 24 hours a day at the Senior Center at City Hall. St. Albans is having an overnight shelter at the Hansford Center from 8 p.m. until 8 a.m. Marmet is operating an overnight center at the Recreation Building from 6 p.m. until 6 a.m. And again, how long these will stay open, don't know. It'll depend on the forecast. Really appreciate these municipalities stepping up. Also, the Bream Center in Charleston is operating one between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. There may be others, Dave, maybe folks need to text you and let you know, but ask, take care of your loved ones. Don't need to be outside very long today if you don't have to be. And check on seniors to make sure they're being taken care of.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And actually, I have a list of those posted on my social media on Dave Allen Radio. So if you want to go to Dave Allen Radio, you can see a list of those. And we appreciate the folks in Kanawha County for giving us that information. All right, Tom. So, we reported on this last week. The Kanawha County Ambulance Authority has approved rate increases for its service. The increases, and the numbers always stick out when you say that the increases on some things could be upwards of 200%. Now, Aaron Parker has a story posted about it on the archives section from last week, WVMetroNews.com. And all this is, as I understand it, to make up for a $4 million budget deficit. Tom, you are a spokesperson for the Ambulance Service Authority. I guess the big question is, how did we get here?
Well, I think there are a couple reasons. One is that over the period of years, they have not been keeping pace with what those rates should have been. And the impact of the rates, there's two impacts. One is that if we can get these rates adjusted up, it'll help us fill the budget gap. But for the individual who's listening going, oh my gosh, my rates are going to go up. So first off, if you're on Medicare, Medicaid, Blue Cross Blue Shield, PEIA, this really won't have an impact on your rates and any insurance company that we have a contract with. What this will do is it allows the ambulance company to then go back and begin to negotiate with the insurers to get increased rates. Now, Medicare, Medicaid, PEIA, they have an established rate schedule. They're governmental payers, so that they'll only pay what they will pay. And I think your story indicated about 77% of the insurance payments in West Virginia are that. So that's part of the problem because they pay way below cost. For the insurance companies that have contracts with the ambulance authority, this just gives us the ability to go back and renegotiate those contracts. For the individuals who are having issues in terms they can't afford and probably they can't afford the rates today, much less the increased rates, there's a hardship process that we work with so that those rates will either be adjusted down or we charge off those rates. But really, this is a positioning to get us where we can go to the insurance companies and begin to negotiate rates where they really should have been. And we are significantly below those rates. The squad brought in a consultant and they looked at from top to bottom. They've made 18 recommendations. And this is one of the recommendations. And they looked at our cost structure, and it's really not an expense problem. It's a revenue problem. And we're having to work through that.
Again, we're talking with Tom Sussman, who's a spokesperson for the Kanawha County Emergency Ambulance Service Authority. And Tom, this is a problem that's happening statewide and happening nationwide. You're somebody that's pretty close to the healthcare field, a lot of different things that you do. This is a nationwide issue.
Well, and it's even more in particular a problem for EMS in West Virginia. We've had a number of squads, I think 20-some closed in the last couple of years. The goal of the authority is to try and work through this situation on the deficit and not reduce services in the county, because Kanawha County has got some of the best ambulance services in the county, and they're like 900 some square miles in this county, and there's a lot of territory that's very rural, and so the goal is to maintain the service that we have. And again, like I say, there are 17 or so other recommendations that the authority is looking at this time to see if this is things that they need to do to bring to improve service, reduce cost, and do what needs to be done for the citizens of the county.
The Dave Allen Show on 580 Line brought to you in part by Pinnacle Consultants. Pinnacle offers a 4-phase assessment for your properties: inspection, sampling, and analysis, comprehensive reporting, and management planning. Visit pinnaclecorp.net, because what you don't know can't hurt you. Tom, you're somebody who has spent a little time under the dome as a legislator and also as a lobbyist. At what point, if any, does the legislature get involved? Is there anything that they can do to work with these counties like Kanawha and others, and work with these ambulance service authorities? And you mentioned the closing of several fire departments and things of that nature. Is this something that the legislature needs to take a look at, in your opinion?
Well, the EMS Coalition and Monica, who's the executive director at Kanawha County, and Chris Hall, who's the executive director of the association, and other squads have been working with the legislature. And they've done some funding on workforce. They've done some funding on other things. But the market of EMS has changed in West Virginia. And a lot of the squads like Kanawha County used to do a lot more non-emergency transports. But there are other entities doing that today. So the business model, if you will, has changed. But the problem we find is that at this juncture, the state's at a $400 million shortfall, according to the incoming governor. Folks, they're not looking to increase revenue, but there is a problem. And I think Kanawha County will be able to work its way through it. I think in the rural counties, it's even going to be a more acute problem.
It's very similar in some instances, although similar but different, with the jail bill. You hear people talking so much about the jail bill. And again, the larger counties seem to do a little better than the other ones. But you start getting into some of the smaller, the work counties, Calhoun, Clay County, whatever. It's a real issue there. Not that it's not here, but it's a real issue there.
Well, and it's real expensive. I mean, everybody looks at a van and they go, well, that's an ambulance. That's just a van. Well, it's not. No. The van, I mean, there's a couple $100,000 worth of equipment. If you order an ambulance, and one of the things the report says is we need to replace, because we have a number of ambulances that have several 100,000 miles on them. But there's a two-year waiting period to get those ambulances and to equip them. And so for a small rural county that doesn't have coal severance tax like they used to, or they don't have the industry like they used to, it's a problem. Now, it is a problem here in Kanawha County, and we're going to try and work through that. But again, the goal is not to reduce the level of service. We're going to try and soften the impact on individual citizens of these increases and try and work within the insurance market.
And I think people sometimes forget what a vast area Kanawha County is. I mean, it is a big old county, and getting from point A to point C and D, Tom, not always easy. And we've seen it especially now with the winter we've had here.
I mean, if you go from Tornado all the way to Montgomery, which is pretty far.
It's a fur piece.
It's a fur piece, as they used to say down in Logan in that day. So trying to maintain appropriate response times, trying to make things work, and that's the reason that the authority they saw where they were heading to deficit. They have dollars on hand, but they don't want to go through those dollars and then wake up one day and say, we can't afford to maintain the service level. So they're working through those issues now.
You mentioned earlier non-emergency calls. Right. Explain for the average listener what exactly is a non-emergency call.
So there are two kind of levels of that. There's the so emergent. We all know, Tom Rex's car, ambulance has got to come take me to the hospital.
Heart attacks,
those kind of things. Non-emergency sometimes would be from nursing home to hospital. It may be hospital to hospital. It might be from home to dialysis center. So that's one level of non-emergency. And then there's a thing called critical care transport. And critical care transport is when you may be at a hospital, say in Beckley, you have a significant health need, and they need to take you to Ruby or to CAMC or to Cleveland, and you need a high level of service. So there's a lot of different that would fall in what we call non-emergent. But generally emergency for the most part, think of 911 calls and lights flashing.
Yeah. It's a definite, I think the average person like myself, you probably knew, and you see headlines, you hear headlines from time to time, you say, okay, well, this is an issue. But Tom, when you throw out a number and people say as much as 200% to some people for some services, people are like, oh, pump the brakes here. Hold on a second.
and I understand that. But you have this need. We've got to maintain this need. And like I said, the big bulk of this is going to allow us to negotiate with insurance companies to get the rates up. For the individuals who are paying cash or don't have insurance, we'll work with them. There's a hardship form that you can get hold of the authority, and it very soon will be on the website that people can draw down, and we work with them on that.
So what kind of where are we now as we start the new year? Is there a sort of a time frame that these things are going to take place? That you're going to be able?
The rate increase took effect January 1.
Okay.
There's an implementation committee that's looking at some of the other aspects. Like, for example, we have a bifurcated dispatch where some of the dispatch is at the ambulance office on Brook Street and some is up at 911. It really should all be at 911. Based on industry standards, better patient care. So, the authority is going to work through with the 911 folks, Metro, to see how you implement that. One of the issues that they've got is the amount of wait time at the emergency room. That once you show up at the emergency room, how long does the hospital hold our crews? Because that then takes ambulances out of circulation, and it can be hours sometimes, and that's a big issue that's driving costs. So there are a number of issues that we're working through that I think will help at the end of the day. And it's going to take a year to 18 months to get all these implemented.
All right. Tom, good information. As always, I appreciate you being here. Next time I'll have you on the show, we'll talk politics.
Absolutely. I don't want to mix the two.
Okay, no, we don't want to mix the two. Okay, well, hold on. I do have a text here for you. It says, why not provide a non-emergency medical with a taxi-type vehicle for a fee? There are companies that do this.
Yeah, there are. There are companies that do, and you can get those to get from point A to point B. Generally, when they call the ambulance, for non-emergency, there's a health need that's a higher level of acuity that you need for that transport. But if you're just going to the doctor's office, there are services that can be like a cab that can take folks.
Okay. All right. I was going to say, I want to get that text in there. I'll have you on here maybe before the legislature comes in because it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. So
absolutely.
Hang out with me just 1 second here. It is 24 minutes away from Tim. Tom Sussman, I appreciate you being here. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live brought to you in part by your hometown baseball team, the Charleston Dirty Birds. It's wintertime now, but before you know it, we're going to be playing baseball over at the ballpark. Check out the 2025 Dirty Birds schedule, plus Birds merch and more at dirtybirdsbaseball.com. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony Taylor text 304-935-5008. The new House Judiciary Chair J.B. Akers coming up next. Back after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses want to thank you for supporting local small businesses.
Your next ride, your next service can all be found here on the Thornhill Motor Mile. Thornhill Auto Group, located on US 119. From Chapmanville, Logan to Belfry, our large selection of vehicles offers you the brand and style you're looking for. Total service, total savings. Our Thornhill certified staff and technicians are always ready to assist you with your next vehicle purchase or service needs. Start your drive online at thornhillautomotive.com. Come visit us today on the Thornhill Motor Mile.
Banking is not just about numbers. It's about people. Are you connected? Without a community bank, your financial journey might feel lonely. And who will you turn to when life gets complicated? From checking accounts to loans, Poca Valley Bank has you covered. We are here to support you with personalized service and genuine care across our 8 locations. Poca Valley Bank, your community bank where relationships matter. Visit PocaValleyBank.com for more information. Equal housing lender. Member FDIC.
The start of a new year means even more savings at Walker Chevrolet in Nitro. Now, you're not going to find better deals on four-wheel drives anywhere in the Kanawha Valley this winter than at Walker Chevrolet. The lot at Walker is stacked with inventory right now to get you ready for that snowy West Virginia weather. From Silverado to Tahoe, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, Colorado, man, Walker has got them all. And you know you're going to get the best deal possible on those 4x4s at Walker because Gene and Ryan built their business the old-fashioned way by making friends. There are no gimmicks or games here, just honest, fair deals. And if you've got an old car you want to get rid of, Walker is still buying cars too. All makes and models are welcome, and you're going to get paid top dollar for it, even if you plan to buy somewhere else. But don't wait until those winter weather advisories go up and you're stuck in the house. Get that new four-wheel drive truck or SUV today at Walker Chevrolet in the shadow of the Interstate Bridge, just off the Nitro exit of I-64. Walker Chevrolet, making friends one deal at a time.
22 minutes away from 10, the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Snap Fitness. Snap has a wide selection of equipment, including free weights, cardio, machine weights, and more. They have 5 convenient locations: Charleston, Hurricane, Winfield, Barbersville, and Milton. And between now and the end of the month, get free activation with a monthly contract. Visit snapfitness.com for complete details. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony Taylor text 304-935-5008. Let me knock out a couple texts here before we go to Delegate and new House Judiciary Chair J.B. Akers. Text says, just get rid of ambulances. Get a taxi instead. This message sponsored by Mike Pushkin, says the texter. That's, alluding to something I think Mr. Pushkin used to do for a living. Another text says, how do I find available medical taxi services? Well, I don't know off the top of my head, but you could probably Google it. That's just an idea. Happy birthday, Thomas Stonewall Jackson, says a texter. Text says, Dave, waited all day yesterday for gas to drop to 90 cents a gallon and eggs, $1 a dozen. Didn't happen, says a texter. Texter says our politicians and their donors can afford an ambulance ride without wiping out their finances, so there's really no issue. Now on to transgenders and DEI, the real issues in West Virginia, says a texter. This past Friday, it was announced that Kanawha County Republican J.B. Akers, representing the 55th, would be the new House Judiciary Chair. Originally, the job was going to go to Brandon Steele, but following the release of, shall we say, troubling things, you all know the story by now, a decision was made to put J.B. Akers in that role, and the good delegate joins us this morning. Mr. Akers, good morning. How are you?
Hey, I'm good, man. I'm just glad that those texts came in before I took the chair. So. But there's probably more of those comments.
There always are. Always are. I guess congratulations are in order, sir.
I appreciate it, man. And I just want to say quickly before we move on to me patting myself on the back that hope Delegate Steele's doing well. I've messaged with him just once the day after this stuff all hit the media. I didn't know anything about it. I mean, when I saw it in the news, it was the first time I knew about it. So, he's got a family, a wife, and children, sure. And my thoughts are with them. And he's taking a little break. He's still in the legislature, but he's just taking a little personal break, which he and his family deserve. And I hope they're doing well.
So I'm going to ask you a really dumb question because that's what I do here. You didn't have to laugh at that, by the way. So what exactly is the role of the House Judiciary Chair? I mean, you hear it thrown out there in the news a lot. It's a very high-profile position. But what exactly does the Judiciary Chair do?
Yeah, so we were joking before we went in the air about how I wished sometimes this was a podcast we could spend more time. So I'll do my best to encapsulate this quickly. So in the House, the Senate and the House both have multiple committees. The structure on both sides is a little different, especially this year. The House has been completely restructured in terms of we have 6 what we call major standing committees. And then under each one of those standing committees, they have authority over 3 subcommittees each. So the Judiciary is one of what we call the 6 major standing committees. And Judiciary and Finance are generally referred to as the 2 most significant committees, really in both chambers, but in the House in particular. It's not because I'm going to say that the work we do is more important than the work any other committee does. We have an education committee, for example, which nothing's more important than education. But the reason why Judiciary is often referred to as one of the 2 most significant committees is our subject matter in that committee is so broad, Dave. We deal with all kinds of issues. So the Education Committee will focus solely on educational issues, obviously, as the name implies. But we also sometimes get educational issues in Judiciary. I mean, an example might be school discipline issues. There could be a broad range of things that deal with schools. The only thing we really don't delve into in Judiciary is the budget. That's strictly what the Finance Committee does. But, we also have a Government Organizations Committee, which is a major standing committee. But we deal with local government issues like municipal laws and ordinances, for example. Some of those are addressed in Judiciary. So we have the broadest range of issues we deal with in Judiciary, and we're also the busiest committee by far. It's really not even close in terms of the number of bills that come in, and it's because we do have so much overlap with the other committees. I mean, we have a health committee. Sometimes we get health issues that run through Judiciary. So my role as the chair, the way I see it at least, other people who've been chair may disagree, but my role as chair, as I see it, is number one, just run a solid committee. You have a lot of responsibilities. I've got a staff of a handful of people who I've got to help manage, and they're all professionals. They're going to be fine. They were there before I was chair, and they'll be there after I'm gone. But they're good people, but I've got to help manage them. We have bills that the body of the House wants to run that may wind up in Judiciary, so I've got to make sure those bills are managed appropriately. But the biggest difference in my time is going to be I'm going to have to meet with just a lot more people during the session, and there's pros and cons to that. Last year as a regular delegate, I was able to focus on what happened at the State House and constituent services. I get a lot of calls and emails. Now I've got to be the guy who a lot of the people who are what we call stakeholders in these bills. It could be a criminal justice reform because Judiciary deals with a lot of criminal justice issues is one example we look at. I could have to meet with those folks, Sheriff's Association, prosecutors, the Public Defender's Office, or just any number of other people. So we have banking bills that wind up in front of Judiciary sometimes. I mean, you name it. So I'm going to have to meet with those folks and just hear them out and give everybody a seat at the table. And that's going to be a high demand on my time in terms of just being face-to-face, which I want to do. I think that's the best way to communicate, get things done, is just actually sitting down talking to people, which, in this day and age when people are on their phones a lot communicating, to me, there's no substitute for a face-to-face conversation.
Talking again with the new House Judiciary Chair, J.B. Akers, at 16 minutes away from Tim. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Jute. For the best in security systems for both your home or business, talk to Jute of Tays Valley. Visit protectedbyjute.com. Let's talk about the session itself. A little bit later start this year because of the governor, put a new governor in. February 12th, I think, is going to be the start date. What are you most looking forward to with the new session, Delegate?
It'll start the day after my birthday, so I hope that goes well. What a birthday present.
Yeah.
The thing I'm looking forward to most is getting things done. I ran for this position to get stuff done, and I mean that wholeheartedly. So I like to accomplish things, I like to be positive. I've been on your show multiple times. I hope you'll agree that I generally try to maintain a positive demeanor.
You do.
I don't say negative things about other people. Sometimes you've got to be critical of other ideas, and that's just part of politics and part of government. But I try not to be critical of people and personalities. So I most look forward to going there and solving challenges and getting stuff done. And I'll tell you this too. People can tell me I'm crazy. I actually enjoy being at the Capitol. I've formed a lot of genuine friendships there. And some of the people there I don't agree with on a lot of issues, but I consider those folks to be my friends. And we can sit down and we can talk about stuff and hash it out. And we may still not agree when the conversation's over with, but we shake hands and we walk away. I enjoy the process, and I enjoy hearing from people in my district. Sometimes I'll go out and people complain about some sort of road issue that they're having, and I'll drive out and look at it myself. And as long as I've got time to do those things, like I really kind of like that. And that's small level stuff. But then the thing that I'll tell you I really enjoy the most is I love to focus on economic development for the state of West Virginia, job recruitment, business recruitment, job creation. I was on the phone multiple times last week with some folks out of state, trying to get them to do business with the state of West Virginia. I've got another phone call with somebody later this week, trying to get them to come to the state of West Virginia. So if you're going to ask me what the thing is that really gets me excited the most, it's the proposition that we're going to get more jobs here for the people who live in the state and to attract more people to move to the state.
You're a relative newcomer to the legislature. I mean, you've been there for a couple of years, but there are some totally new faces that will be there this year. If you had any advice to a new legislator coming into the House or the Senate, for that matter, if you had any advice for anybody coming in, what might that be?
Remember that God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. Do a lot of listening, which is good advice for anybody. But a lot of people who run for office, they make promises that they're going to go there and change things, and that's something that's fine. You should do that, but at the same time, you got to remember there's 100 people in the House of Delegates just on our side. There's 34 senators, so these issues take work and they take a lot of compromise. And the Judiciary Committee, for example, if people don't know this, by the time you see the stuff that happens on the floor of the House, Dave, that's the big room where we all sit. It's a really nice chamber. Most of the work has already been done on a bill before it gets to the House floor. You'll see some significant changes occasionally on the floor, but usually the significant work is done in committee. And if for people who haven't been to the Capitol, I would encourage anyone to come to my committee room. These hearings are public. I'd love to see folks actually come and be part of the process, even if you're just going to watch. I mean, we have witnesses who come under oath. We have evidence presented. So, by the time it gets to the floor, I think some people think we just go there and we stand up and we argue and, we point fingers and hold a microphone. But there's a lot of work that goes into a bill before it gets there.
The real work is done in the committee rooms, as you said.
100%. And that's one reason why you talk about the influence of the committees. It's because the bill that comes out of the committee is the version that hits the floor, which might be a lot different than how it came into the committee room. So, the real work is in committee.
All right, Delegate Akers, I do have a text here for you that says, I bet you the relish lobby won't get a meeting with the Judiciary chair. Now, if you're wondering what the heck I'm talking about, this is a thing that Delegate Akers, it never dies. Delegate Akers and his wife have a difference of opinion. And I love the fact that, the silliest things, and the silliest things are what we need more of in this life. It's a difference of opinion between you and Judge Akers. On hot dog relish, on relish.
Yeah, so this started, I didn't mean to suck up too much of our time talking about this, but West Virginia Day of last year, June 20th of 2024, my wife loves relish in a hot dog, and I'm against it. I tell her that a West Virginia hot dog is, it's chili, mustard, slaw, and onions only, and she puts relish on hers. So I've got a T-shirt that says that, says chili, mustard, slaw, and onions, and I put it on, took a selfie on West Virginia Day, and I thought we'd get, maybe 10 of my friends would like it. It's dead. Well, then she put up some smart aleck comment about relish, and somehow it just spun out of control, took on a life of its own. And for the next, 5 months, I was getting people sending relish to my house. I was getting relish T-shirts sent to me, and she had, of course, because my wife is the better version of us, she was getting most of the support. Whether people like relish or not, they were on her side. So, but then we also, but it turned into a positive thing as well because it was a joke. It was very lighthearted. But it kind of was a West Virginia issue because it dealt with West Virginia hot dogs. And so, I just kind of made the most of it. And it was a way to actually, just in a positive way, just communicate and talk to people, which is my favorite thing to do.
Well, and again, I think sometimes we need a little sublime every now and then.
You can't take yourself too seriously.
We need more of that. Right. Well, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show, Delegate, House Judiciary Chair. Any final words before you go?
You mentioned my wife, so she's in the middle, obviously, of a very high profile trial. She's a judge here in Kanawha County, and man, what a horrible situation that is. with the facts of that case. You guys are covering it at your station. That's a White Feather trial involving child abuse.
Yeah.
So I hope we just all keep those kids in our thoughts and prayers. And, whatever the outcome, I hope those kids are okay.
All right. Delegates, and now House Judiciary Chair J.B. Akers, I appreciate you being here, man.
Hey, thank you, buddy. I'll listen to find out what the texts are when I leave. So,
actually, no, they're all about Trump.
Okay,
so far, Trump, which we didn't breach. We're not going to with you. I appreciate it, man.
All right.
Special Olympics embodies a true spirit of sportsmanship, not merely about winning medals. It's about being a part of a team, practicing and competing together. The joy and fulfillment derived from these experiences are immeasurable as athletes find the confidence and self-worth through their shared pursuit of victory. West Virginia, enriched in collaboration with Huntington, invites you to witness the transformative power Special Olympics. See a video highlighting the Special Olympics, Facebook.com/580 WCHS. I'm back right after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Are you looking for a technical job in the medical field? Generations is growing and looking to add on job-trained physical therapy techs to our rehab team. To apply, visit one of our 7 convenient locations or simply click on us at generationspt.com.
For your build or restoration, you can always count on us. Professional service and dedication, Charity's the name to trust. Saving you more, saving you time, providing quality building and design. Right on time, right on budget. Call on Jarrett Construction.
Americans for Prosperity, West Virginia's Pathway to Prosperity, is a bold roadmap to help principled policymakers rapidly transform the Mountain State into a better place to live, work, and raise a family. To do that, we encourage state leaders to boldly adopt proven reforms that makes quality health care more affordable and accessible. Empower parents and expand education freedom to every child. Rein in government spending and cut taxes, allowing Mountaineers to keep more of their hard-earned paychecks. While the recent work of the legislature has taken enormous strides toward breaking down the barriers that hold our citizens back, now is not the time to rest on our laurels. Instead, we must come together to double down on advancing freedom and opportunity to create more prosperity for every West Virginian. This is how we reignite the American dream. To learn more, visit wvpathway.com. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
No matter where you are never far from a Parmar store. From gas to groceries and everything else you need, your local Parmar store has it. Sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card and download the Parmar Stores app for even more savings. With well over 230 stores in 6 states, you are never far from Parmar. Visit parmarstores.com and follow them on your favorite social media app. If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
7 away from 10, Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony Taylor text 304-935-5008. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live brought to you part by Morgan & Morgan. If you're injured, hire Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Text says, JB is a much better choice for Judiciary Chair. He should have been the top choice from the beginning, says a texter. Ask JB if he likes relish on his hot dogs. Yeah, I think we've already covered that. Text in all capital letters says no relish. That person really meant that. They took the time to do it in all caps to say no relish. Text says, Dave, now the drug cartels are designated terrorist organizations. Do the people fleeing these terrorist organizations get to claim asylum in the U.S., thus protecting them from deportation? Text says, for kids, there's a PAGE program in both houses. Indeed, there is. Text says, Dave, just wanted to thank Biden for the great jobs and infrastructure he brought to our state. Hate to see it end. U.S. economy best in the world, says a texter. So on to day one of the new and improved Trump administration. It was a day of celebration or sorrow, depending on your perspective. And I had lots of people reach out to me from my perspective. And for me, it's complicated. You've listened to me for nearly 5 years now. You know my story when it comes to President Trump. I voted for him in 2016 and again in 2020, but not in 2024. I just could not bring myself to do it for a variety of reasons. It didn't mean I've abandoned my mostly conservative/libertarian views on a lot of things. I just could not go along with the chaos of the first Trump administration, or perhaps more so the way Trump behaved or didn't behave on January 6th and during the Biden presidency. I would have supported and voted for any other Republican on the debate stages. Okay, not Ramaswamy because that guy was nuts. But the voters overwhelmingly chose former President Trump. Not my choice, but I'm okay with it because that's how this whole system works. To say I'm happy that Trump is the president of the United States, no, I'm probably not. But it doesn't matter. He's the president, and I'm going to support him and hope he does well. I'm kind of weird that way. I'm an American, and I want my president to succeed. Novel concept. Also, I wanted former President Biden to do well, and Obama and Clinton, the Bushes, Reagan, throw in Carter, Ford, and Nixon, all the presidents during my lifetime. I want them to succeed and to do well. And you're never going to hear the words, not my president, come from my lips, period. Donald Trump is my president. Now, to day one, he did exactly what he said he was going to do with the executive orders. You know them all. You know them all by now. I am most troubled by the partying of the January 6th guys, to be honest. But that's just me. And most of our daily lives really aren't impacted that much by what goes on at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. I guess one of my big issues, and you've heard me talk about this, is the idolatry that a lot of people have for Donald Trump. I'm not talking about people that voted for him. I'm talking about, and you know him as well as I do, there are a lot of people that treat him like a god, and he's the furthest thing from a god that you could probably ever imagine, as are most politicians, for that matter, Democrat or Republican. I'm a little troubled as well scrolling social media and seeing grown people making comments like "Daddy's home." I didn't call my own late father Daddy, and I'm definitely not going to call Donald Trump Daddy. But, you know, it is what it is. I hate that expression probably as badly as you do. He's the president of the United States. I will say this about the inauguration performance. Carrie Underwood yesterday, the sound malfunctions, and she goes all a cappella, and I wonder if that were to happen in the Super Bowl here in a couple of weeks, how many Super Bowl performers could pour that up? Probably not many. So this morning, you're either extremely happy or you're ready to jump off a bridge. There was a quote from the always great George Will, who said, this is a direct quote, "Today, many emotionally dilapidated obsessives experience either despair or euphoria about the inaugurations of presidents who come and go. Both groups should rethink what they expect from politics and why they do it." Let that one sink in for a moment. Text says, "Dave, no contest. The best hot dog is a Spring Hill pastry hot dog," says the texter. Okay. All right. TJ Meadows is here. How you doing, man?
I'm down in the dumps, but not because of the inaugural, because Ohio State won.
You're not a Buckeye fan, are you?
No,
man?
Not at all.
I'm a Georgia Bulldog fan. They watched it at home like I did. So, yeah. What's on the big show today, bud?
So we kick off 10:06. Greg Thomas is here. We'll talk the inaugural. We'll talk executive orders, all things President Trump, and much more. Jared Halpern from Washington D.C. at 10:23. He'll go through those EOs one by one. We'll get a check on where we are. Coming up at 10:45, Brad McElhaney has a piece at WVMetroNews.com talking about West Virginians who were J6ers and otherwise that got pardons. We'll get into that. Robert Bolton, Fairmont State University political scientist, joins us at 11:06 again to talk about all things Donald Trump. And then 11:33, Chris Hamilton from the West Virginia Coal Association joins us. Dave, it's cold outside.
Really?
PJM has actually issued a voltage alert, which, loosely says, hey, we gotta watch here. We gotta make sure the grid maintains integrity. Coal has skyrocketed in use in the last couple of days. Chris will talk about that, and we'll talk about the future of coal.
All right. TJ, I appreciate you being here, man. We got to go. My thanks to Tom Sussman for delegate in the House Judiciary Chair, J.B. Akers, and also Glenn Jarrell from the West Virginia Hunting and Fishing Show this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Coliseum and Convention Center. We'll talk to the new Kanawha County Circuit Judge, Rich Lindsay, on the show tomorrow. I got to go. See you tomorrow. Till then, have fun. I love somebody.
WCHS AM 96.5 FM Charleston and 104.5 Cross Lanes.
A WVRC media station.
We're proud to live here too.